OC roster that we're so interested in because, like you said, they've been playing incredibly well through this season, keeping pace with a Falcons team that we both know of through our time in the collegiate circuit. So, just generally, really interested to see how these guys do today.
Yeah, funny enough, OC Esports has not lost a map compared to Fisher, who actually was, even though we do have a very small sample size. It only has happened, we've only had the 2 weeks to fall back upon. But with this team, maybe they can do it, maybe they can't. It's up to the Fisher Falcons and how they play. And I think you and I are a little bit more familiar with these rosters. At least I am, because they are a little bit more mainstays in the T3 circuit, or at least they were.
Yeah, they were around for quite a while. I did catch the tail end of them. Their reign towards the top of the collegiate scene. They've fallen off just a bit, but still some very notable names. Maple and Beezer have been with Fisher for quite a long time. Scoob, a staple of even the Tier 2 scene, a player in Element 2 that we got to both cast quite a bit of on the Wanted Goons. And then joined by Bomb and Techwill. Techwill, a player I'm not familiar with, and Bomb, someone who I believe in the past has also been around the T3, even breaking into the T2 scene back in the olden days of Challenger League a couple of years ago. Probably just settling in now nicely to the collegiate scene, getting a good education and just playing some Siege on the side. And clearly still playing quite well. However, like we've both talked about, they've got a very tough opponent coming up today. Someone they should not sleep on, like we may be sleeping on them because, Fisher Falcons, you've heard of them before if you're a veteran of the scene. But OC clearly have the skill to back it up. I feel like this is going to be a matter of Fisher Falcons, very good, impressive individual players. But OC, I feel like they're going to want it quite a lot, coming with some solid strats, some very good coordination. Really interested in seeing which one of those can work out today.
Yeah, with the maps that we're heading to, it's going to actually be Bank, Chalet, and Border. Ignore the clubhouse on your screen. It happened last week, and I got screwed over by that.
You can't change it.
I know, but I'm just letting the audience know. But Bank, Border, Chalet is where we're going to be heading. And Bank and Chalet being our first two is pretty similar compared to the absolute indifference that is Border at the end. I think Bank and Border are about as different as you can get, considering how mechanically different they are and what they demand from you.
Really does kind of provide a very much a nice little spectrum of all the different maps, different kinds of maps you could maybe get involved into. Chalet, very much commonly played nowadays. Bank, a huge map. Border, a small map. Chalet, kind of in the middle. If you think about it, you can play passive or aggressive. Kind of maybe favors attack sometimes, although granted in the current meta, most things favor defense. Border, same kind of goes, but it's smaller. It's a very diverse map pool, with Bank, of course, being one of the more interesting ones, kind of a little different from the other two. But we will start off with Chalet. That, of course, being the map pick of OC. And so, with that, expecting them to do quite well, as this is the map of any in the pool that was left up by Fisher that they wanted to go to the most.
And a lot of teams do prefer to go to Chalet, or at least they did. I think it's fallen back a little bit as some of the other maps have become a little bit more popular, say Lab, say Consulate, but Chalet is something you can really rely on as a team who has strayed a little bit beyond something like Oregon or Clubhouse. And as we finish up with the ban phase, the Kaid ban is gonna be an interesting one because that leaves a lot of other operators open. You still have the Fenrir, you still have the Soulless, and otherwise there's just not a huge reason why you want to ban the Kaid over some of these other operators, unless OC Esports really want to hone in on a specific strategy and they don't want anybody to spoil that.
Into round number 1, with Fisher Falcons opting to choose the defensive side to start. Does make sense, at least in my mind. But of any map, you could maybe get away with a decent attacking start on Chalet. So this one across the board, just generally going to need a good start here for OC. Because if you get off to a rough start, it's not necessarily like other maps, like maybe a Consulate or an old theme park, where you'll switch sides and all of a sudden it feels like a completely different game. With Chalet, that kind of doesn't apply as much. So OC getting into their own map pick, obviously want to start off well, but even more of a need to. Because if you do go down, even like 4-2, God forbid like 5-1, it'll be really hard to come back on the other side because, again, there isn't that stark contrast between attack and defense win rates on Chalet. And it's not necessarily like there's one or two sites you can reliably go to. A lot of teams choose a lot of very different sites as their primaries, and in this case, it's Fisher Falcons opting to go to the top floor first.
The top floor is an interesting one to me. I think Kitchen has started to emerge as the favorite for a lot of teams, but with no Azami in play, you're not going to be able to hold Piano as well, so we do see Bomb and Maple having those Evil Eyes, having those castle barricades to provide a little bit of assistance to that player hanging out in there. Also, no Solus as well. For a site that would really relish in something like a Pulse, something like a Solus, there's a considerate lack of that for Fisher. So what this lineup really shows to me, they want to hold down on the site, not a lot of roamers, which can be a little scary and kind of test OC Esports' ability to get things done.
We're now making a lot of entries very, very quickly. Dusty already in through Trench, likely going to make his way up through West Main. Maybe try and go for some kind of Solarium play with a castle barricade that was spotted on that door from Solarium into Bathroom. It may be harder to make some kind of solar play, as Codes was ready for the peek from that exact window, but just not ready enough. Opening kill goes to Beezer, down goes your Zofia, and OC Esports seemingly without much of a chance to get that kill back and trade that out, because like you said, it's a very kind of, you know, anchor setup from Fisher Falcons. They're not going to give away those early picks, especially not after they find the first one for themselves.
Solarium is going to be the next hurdle for OC Esports. You can see the Nook hanging out right below it. Player over on Solarium. Actually getting in here is going to be difficult. I like Dusty using the scanner just to be able to get by. It's going to be able to take out the Evil Eye as well. Don't exactly know if Dusty was spotted over on the camera, and safe to say that Fisher have to be aware that there is a presence over by Sunroom. Whether or not the Nook is on the stairs doesn't really matter, because you can see there's players on the windows, there's player on the stairs, and Fisher, without those Evil Eyes, they're gonna have to rely on their guns, but it's gonna be a 1-for-1, and that really does enable Fisher to keep themselves in the lead.
You're basically in a 2-on-4 when you think about it, just because Kita is sitting on that rappel in a very important spot to cut off these defenders. So you could also think about it as more of like a 2-on-2, where however many people are on the opposite side of that rappel. Good swing is going to get the knock on Adrelos. Nice play by the Maestro, and everybody else on his team will be there to support. Unfortunately, he himself died to a frag grenade, but it was no problem at all. The rest of Fisher Falcons will sweep that one up cleanly and start the map off well for themselves.
Playing primarily in the site and having a couple of extensions can be pretty risky, but if you put all your eggs in the correct basket, in this instance, by that Solarium area, they had the Evil Eyes, they had a lot of utility and rotations designated for holding over by Solarium because of how important it is, and I think OC Esports just could not cleanly get past it. They didn't have anything to really destroy from underneath, which in this day and age is kind of a difficult thing to do. Yes, you can shoot out the floorboard and put a frag grenade through that. It's a little awkward. But overall, OC Esports weren't able to adapt to that, start putting their strengths where Fisher Falcons' weaknesses were, and so you just simply got shot. Fell away, and Fisher Falcons now going over to that kitchen site. It seems they're going to go back upstairs, play that very big roam that a lot of teams like to do, and hold down the fort.
Attackers are heading out to defuse a bomb.
Anyways, round number 2 for Fisher Falcons after a win in round number 1. Obviously, good start for them. Still staying in the same general area of the map, as you're effectively going to be holding the same kind of areas, just in a slightly different way when you compare the kitchen bomb site to the bedroom bomb site, as you normally see that upstairs extension, which is exactly what we're going to see from Fisher in this round, but a little bit more help. You have some more castle barricades. Codes his... You can't even cook him anymore,
I don't even
man.
know.
How did you... How did you manage that? Like, did he think that you could still cook? I don't know.
No, because if
But
you
that's-
can't, if you hold it, it doesn't do anything.
I know, but like, yeah, maybe he like threw it at a roof? I don't know. Okay. Codes has killed himself with a frag grenade. That's the opening kill, going to Fisher without anyone having to shoot a bullet. Very rough start for OC.
Yeah, not much we can say on it because it's just a very odd thing to happen, and it really does hurt because you're gonna have one less person able to take these angles, shoot at Fisher Falcons, who are notoriously good at doing exactly that. The IQ being lost, that won't hurt. It's really just the fact that that is one of your 5 players taken off the board by themselves. Bomb holding over by Office. He's in a great position to deny this space, and especially depending on how quickly OC Esports really wants to push, Bomb and the rest of his buddies can simply hang by, see if they can take their angles, but Bomb pushing forward, he gets punished for his hubris, but it seems that OC Esports, they cannot catch a clean kill without an immediate trade.
Would have been a 4-on-4, but again, Codes unfortunately dead first without having to fight for anything. Dusty, though, is going to fight for that control and take it kindly. Unfortunately, though, Sodex has gone down with one more. He's still caught in the frost mat, so could pick himself back up. But Fisher Falcons, again, win another round as they don't fall off this roam ever, and it pays dividends.
I don't know if you've ever heard some advice for how to be a better shooter in Siege, how to essentially play like these guys, and you got to act like you are the best player in the game. It's a confidence mindset, and right now that is exactly where Fisher is. They feel like they are the better shooters, the better team in the lobby, and the way that they played that extension, you could really feel that emanating. They did not falter. They did not back off from anything they did. Even in an instance, they got punished for that, with Bomb going down very close to that default plant site. But the trades were there, the refrags were there, the positioning for Fisher when it comes to helping each other on the roam was aces. And now going down to the basement, seems like we might be another site-centric, maybe roamless play, which OC Esports, they've seen one of these before, and they're going to have to do it again. Make sure that you don't just stack in an area. Really bash your head in where nothing is going to budge.
I guess the nice thing about this extension, if they're specifically going to put a lot of priority on kitchen and dining, is that you can kind of play in from trophy and sort of create a pinch on the players that are extended. You can either come in from solar stairs into trophy or just go in trophy window, and either way, you can put pressure from multiple angles. Whereas last round, it felt like, yeah, you could get maybe some cutoffs on solar window or master bedroom window, but other than that, you kind of just have to push forward and push Fisher Falcons out of their positions, which they didn't let you do because they knew that they were confident. Like you said, they were playing like they were the best players in the game, and the best players in the game aren't going to give up control to someone they know they can win ones against. So, OC, you're going to have to get creative and kind of try and employ some new things. Hence why I'm suggesting maybe that kind of pinch style play, or what Codes is doing now, taking early control of Big Garage, maybe eventually walk up West Main stairs, or just try and play into the site itself.
There is only one player inside of the site. A lot of them can fall back very easily. Bomb goes down the West Main stairs, so you're back in the site. But now, Codes has put down a talent shield. There's a little bit of a cutoff. And if Fisher doesn't recognize a lot of that, they could get simply cut off from the rest of the bomb site. But it seems that OC Esports right now, they are going for a little bit of a direct, not playing directly into the hands of Fisher, and I like that. You've got open this wine area. Take a little bit of control of Fireplace just to keep Fisher away from where the actual push will come from. And suddenly all 4 players that are up on the first floor are trying to dash inside of the site, but all of the cutoffs are there from the attack. The places are here, but are they all going to click?
Still dining hatch control for Fisher. That could be a huge position later, and unlucky timing on the pre-fire through the wall is going to mean the end of Sadex's round. He wasn't the first one to die. That was Codes again. I guess, fortunately, look on the bright side, you took a fight this time. Unfortunately, though, didn't go your way. Still the only member of OC yet to get on the board. pretty even scoreline all across the board, but not very even in terms of overall comparing both teams to one another. Dusty, though, gonna try and even things back out with that kill on a Maple. Still a one-player advantage for this defense, and I don't know if OC Esports has what they need to circumvent this roam game, because again, this dining hatch is still open. Bomb kind of lets them go a little further than you would have liked, but is eventually able to get that kill, though he's traded out from behind by Dusty. Not to mention, Drolis is taking down TechWill. They need that kill on the player in blue, but they're not able to get it. Scoob lives on just a fraction of HP, but that fraction feels like 1 million health in this situation, and it's enough for him to win the round as the only player standing. Dusty killed one, but Scoob there for the trade, and Fisher, full site rotation through the first 3 rounds.
There's a beautiful moment that exactly happened right as that final kill was happening. You could see Beezer was hanging out by the pillar area, but specifically did not take the gunfight. He waited until there was a crossfire, and Beezer did die, but you know what was there? The Fenrir, hanging out in the rotate, ready to fight the player who immediately got that kill. I think that's Fisher's strength, is their ability to play around each other. There was another frag moment where it was Sadex walking down those trophy stairs, sees somebody directly in front of him. I believe it was Maple. And then there's another one directly to his left. He can't look both ways, ends up dying, doesn't almost get any damage. Fisher Falcons have their positioning down to a T. And OC Esports, that was a great round. They did play their trades very well compared to the previous 2 rounds. But I think Fisher, when it comes to that trades, are just a step above.
I was hoping that we would see a lot of good team play out of OC, and that kind of shows that they are here for a reason. They are very good as a squad, and they definitely have shown a lot of promise, but kind of needed to see very good team play because, like we talked about before we got into this game, there are multiple names on the side of Fisher Falcons who either through the collegiate circuit or through Tier 3 and Tier 2 amateur competition have shown everybody that they're some of the better aimers in North America. And so we really, really needed to see that coordination from OC. And like you mentioned, I just don't feel like it's been there thus far. Coordinated push here over towards Library, but they're kind of just getting holed up, stuck at the very first hurdle. And this also something that I fear has been happening too often. They're kind of walking into the first players they're dealing with and then not being able to flush them out of position until it's way too late in the round.
And that's part of the steadfast, almost stubborn play style that Fisher has. You have to budge them with a crowbar, with something to get them out. And if you're not getting that kill, most likely you're not going to get the positioning that that player is holding. And TechWill, they're going to be very close in that office area. And it's not them that actually claims it's Scoob all the way over in Piano, but Tech simply walks forward, takes the place of Scoob, and gets a kill of his own. A refrag is immediately followed, but nothing is clean for OC Esports. Fisher Falcons always find themselves ahead in the man count.
Again, another round where we're seeing OC get a couple of kills in response. But is that response too little and too late? It's just Sadex and Drolis who are still left alive. They've got over a minute to work with here, so a lot of action quite quickly. And it seems that Sadex has somebody pinned in a corner, but it's TechWill, who's already had a great start to this game. So are you stuck in here with him, or is he stuck in here with you, is the question. The answer is that Sadex knows he can win a fight, even if it is against somebody as skilled as TechWill. 2-on-2 with an exothermic charge will breach open a castle barricade, and OC need to figure out what they want to do in these last 40 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, look, time is of the essence. And when you've got these players on Fisher Falcons ready to take the gunfight, you don't want to give them any advantage whatsoever, time being one of them, and slowly creeping up into Piano. You see the frost mat below the window, so if Drolis has to hop in, Sadex has to be there for the other entry. Otherwise, you're going to get caught in a frost mat where somebody like Bomb or Maple is simply going to attack you. Drop. There from Maple, getting on the cams. That's an interesting play.
Bomb's going to get the first one onto Sadex, and Maple's just playing for the post plant, but a plant that never will come through, as Bomb's able to make sure that the instant Drolis comes through, he befalls the same fate as his teammate before him. Outstanding round for Fisher Falcons as they reach a fourth.
See, I don't want to feel like I'm being biased again, like, for Fisher Falcons, but it seems like they've been doing this a while, and it's because they have. The core of this team has been together. I think the 3 or 4 players have been on this team for over a year, because I have a very personal friend, some of you may know her as Gally. She was the coach eons ago, a year ago. She's no longer there, but the core of that team that went with her, Beezer, Cappy, who's not playing here, Maple, they are ready to rock, and they have this unity that a lot of teams don't have. And with OC Esports, they're obviously no slouches. We have seen times when they've been able to get these entries, make Fisher Falcons really feel hurt, but it's always not without Fisher getting a kill of their own. And you're never going to be able to find yourself on top if you're always playing the trade game, being the one that's having to follow up.
Little context behind what you were just talking about. It's actually Scoob, Techwill, and Bomb, who are all relatively new to this team. However, I do think Bomb is a substitute tonight to some degree. So you're still telling the truth. Never mind. He is not a substitute. I thought he was. He is not. So yeah. There are the people who you were talking about are still with Fisher. I think they're just on different teams.
They are.
But you're regardless of the semantics of it, it's correct. You are telling the truth that these teammates have been teammates for quite some time, and even in the case of 2 or 3 of them, something as little as that can make a big difference when it's in a game like this. And like we've said time and time again, when you're as individually skilled mechanically as the team like Fisher, especially relative to some of these other teams in Collegiate. OC, I do think, have shown a lot of mechanical prowess, but I do think they've, again, have been struggling, much like I was talking about last round, in these early rounds where they're just taking a little too much time and sacrificing a little too much to not gain enough out of it.
That was perfect. That was good. You have Sadex on the window, immediately leads into Dusty, and Scoob is stuck between a rock and a hard place. There's nothing you can do. That's what you want to happen as the attack, and now Scoob is gone. You take the map control that he was holding, and it's a lot more free as the attack. And Bomb with the run out. That's where Sadex died the last time we had an upstairs hold for Fisher Falcons, but OC, they're still playing the trade game, but this time they're in the front, able to take down Techwill, which now leads Office to be an open area. It's getting better and better for this team, and they're regulating the time pretty consistently as well. You've still got about 70 seconds to work with, and considering the ops that are on the board, you can make things work with what you have, considering Droll is just going to run in.
Z4's here, though. Maybe an early end, and in fact it will. Diffuser tried to go down quickly, but instead, the planter went down quickly. Trades all around as Dusty is eventually able to make it a 1 versus 1. That's just effectively, though, because as you can see, one of his teammates is still up. Now fully back up as the res facilitated on Decades, but they don't know where Beezer is. They don't know that he's this far pushed forward. That'll be a freebie. However, where can Beezer reposition after getting his first kill is the question on my mind. They break open the castle barricade, though, so now Dusty has more space to work with, and Beezer knows he needs to fall back to the Mira. Flashed off pretty heavily by the barrage of flashes that come through, and he can barely see a thing, and Dusty, fortunately, can see his head from the other side of the half wall. OC Esports finally on the board.
It got a little scary there. I admire the boldness with how they essentially knew that most of Fisher was upstairs, and they didn't have a lot of angles that they can actually work with to try to deny the plan. But not having the coverage from the C4 when you clearly had a lot of players watching you, it gets scary, because then you start to lose control, because you don't really have anything to destroy that black mirror. But once you leave the mirror all alone, the flashes, great play there as well. And I think with OC Esports, there's not a lot that you can really replicate upon that, besides just doing your fundamentals as a team. And if Fisher are smart, maybe they'll play a little bit different. Maybe Scoob will have it out, or he'll have somebody to help him over by library, something that this team is very good at. OC can absolutely replicate what they're doing, and it seems like they are, but are the changes that Fisher are doing going to be enough?
And OC have been changing a lot. Last round, I think, was really just easily the best example of that. You think about where the other team was playing, and then you realize that, hey, we could go a number of different places. We could try and pressure in through library, make sure that that can be opened up first, and then also put somebody down towards games. Just one slight adjustment. Now they're going back to that same kitchen bomb site. Slightly different approach to it, seemingly, though, as Scoob was kind of getting a little cheeky, maybe happy to be up so many rounds, so his teammates gave him permission to go try and get a little goofy out on his own, but got isolated for that. And I think that's something that we can tell OC Esports, just by that one round, are very good at. They're good at taking down isolated players. Unfortunately, as we've kept hitting home, or driving home, there isn't a lot of that happening. It's a lot of structure from Fisher.
Has noticed something that's changed? Scoob isn't over by library stairs anymore.
He's not.
Yeah. And there's no isolatable players because Bomb is close to Tequil. Maple is close to Scoob. The only one is Beezer, who's inside a site covered by all these walls, all these black mirrors. You are not getting inside that impenetrable fortress. So the decision from OC Esports has to be quick, has to be succinct, and unified. And there's nothing that's happened in those 5 rounds to really affirm anything that would happen along those lines, besides the fact that Fisher haven't been playing isolated. And the last time that OC Esports did get a win, that's exactly what happened.
Finally, some pressure being put on this roam from a couple different angles, or I guess extension, a more accurate name for it, but nobody's on that main fluke balcony. That's going to be a little bit of an issue, but now starting to put more pressure on there as well. However, this is only with 1 minute and 10 seconds to go, and they're attacking the objective below where they're currently trying to get control of right now. By this point in the last round, they were opening up the main wall into dining with an exothermic charge. By this point in this round, they don't have a man advantage, they don't have firm control of upstairs, and now they have to rush downstairs to open the wall to whatever degree they can, and Beezer is perfectly positioned on the fireplace stairs to get a kill onto the solo thermite. Another isolated pick found as Scoob is going to take down Kita, and OC Esports stall up way too long upstairs and get punished for it heavily. It's now just Dusty and Cades with anything left to say and barely any control.
Sneaky little play by Beezer. C4 is not going to collect on anything. It actually barely misses the 2 players over by that 90 area. And they're not looking behind them. They're just like simply going to walk through the fire and the flames. And, well, there's not really much to harp upon. Happy. Everything that you saw before you just kind of speaks for itself.
Yeah, not a lot of different angles being taken advantage of by OC. The ones that they tried to play, they were only really incorporating into the attack a little too late, and Fisher were doing an outstanding job at confidently playing their positions, so OC felt too scared to push forward. I feel like maybe some flashbangs, bring a Ying, well, they banned the Ying, Fisher did at least, but still, something along those lines would really help to try and initiate some pushes. However, now they swap over to the defensive side, so those problems aren't big issues for now. The big issue at hand is that you have a 4-round differential to cover, and you have almost no time to do it. Your initial setups on these defenses and the way you play them the first time around need to be perfect. Fisher kind of had the luxury of being able to, you know, maybe adjust some things on the fly if they lost something. They didn't, but if they happened to, they could have done that. That's not a luxury that OC Esports have anymore.
We kind of talked about the initiation was an issue for OC Esports on their attack. Fisher Falcon's going to be the same. And a lot of times that maybe won't be the actual utility, and it'll just be droning, you know, counting down when you're actually executing, making sure that everything is happening on time. I wonder if the Amaru will play into that. What is Maple thinking? Where is that Gara going to go? With Beezer over on the Solarium side, this does seem to be that northern window Solarium take that a lot of teams really do like to initiate over on this 3rd floor. But Maple and Tequil are going from a bottom up, and if Codes isn't careful, they could really sneak up and absolutely catch them off guard. But good to have somebody on those cams make sure that that flank doesn't happen. That is such a
Bang.
dirty angle.
Outstanding kill from Sadax. Perfectly plays it as well and positions his crosshair so that the head of the player walking up that staircase is immediately visible and only needs the first shot. Shot a second one just to be careful, just to be safe. But it wasn't necessary at all, and Drolis is going to take another kill on a bomb, even drop down to maybe deal with anyone else downstairs, but in fact actually just going to duo rotate back towards site with Dusty, as Maple can only watch that doorway and hope that someone's going to peek back out of it. But OC, they're smarter than that. We saw an attack that they were very good at dealing with these isolated roams because they're disciplined and they play off each other very well. That exact skill is going to transfer the defensive side. They're not going to make silly mistakes. They're just going to take their site. They're going to take their advantage and run back to site with it.
There's not been a lot of opportunities for Fisher to actually get anything, because both kills from OC Esports have just been out of the blue. Odd rat positions that are being played, and this is where the initiation problems are either going to arise or completely be nullified. You have Drolis and Dusty hanging over by that bathroom side of Solarium, waiting for Maple and Beezer to initiate. Such a dangerous place to hold as Beezer. With that Black Mirror directly in front of you, there's no way you can actually get anything done. And Sadex can just pop right back and forth without anything to do but finding the kill. That's going to enable you to walk into Solarium, and you can see with that confidence they're going to push.
OC Esports, they're trying to just take their advantage and play the site with it, but they're playing the site too comfortably. They're just sitting back and letting Fisher have all this control. Drolis, though, is able to actively start to take some of it back, and his position is going to make people focus too much on that and not enough on both of his teammates. As a couple kills for everybody else on the roster. Kita's got one, Codes gets another, and now it's just left a Scoob on the window. Yes, he's able to get one kill, might even get a second, boost the KD just a little bit. But you are not boosting your team's scoreline. 5-2, still advantage to Fisher, but a good start on the defensive half for OC.
I think you guys gotta kind of call that one a scratch for Falcons, because there's not much you can do from beyond just, hey, it's thrown out a little bit more, watch our corners, make sure we don't get caught off by these players in unconventional spots, because I think that's the one thing that killed them. We've seen that they can really stand up to their opponents when it comes to shooting back. Maple finding the kill into the Black Mirror really does enable a lot, but when you've already lost two, it's making up. It's pennies when your opponent is rich as hell. Going on to bar, this is actually the first time we've seen this today, which is very odd considering how popular the site used to be. It's still going to require a second floor hold, as it seems like almost all the sites in this map do, but a lot of times you actually hold over by the library instead of over by the office. It's why you see a Frost. It's why you see a deployable shield. No mirror, though. Interesting enough. A lot of times you'll have a Black Bear painted over towards that library area, but it seems like OC Esports, they'd rather have the Thorn, rather have the Valkyrie, which is going to be a bit more information to catch Fisher off guard.
OC, once again, seemingly at least, trying to just play around their setup and play around it confidently, but Fisher Falcons are a lot more confident. So there's a chance that they'll just try and run in if they see a gap somewhere. Unfortunately, the gap just seems to be an illusion in this case. It's Kita very ready for exactly what's coming from the attacking side. Tried to jump into library and catch him off guard with a Gun 6 rush, but it just turns into a double kill for the Wamai and a 2-player advantage for OC Esports.
You just get smoked with that, right?
Yeah, like that's just...
It's a gamble, and you did not bet on the right color there, my friends.
We go next.
It's the same story. You can try. You can get something done, but you're still going to be down 2, gaining essentially nothing in the process. Yes, these stragglers can get cut off guard, but it's still just to make up for the lack of players that you have yourself.
I'll tell you something about this bomb site, though. If you find the right avenue in, the defenders tend to hold a lot of vertical pressure, but not actually do a ton with it. They maybe don't open so many vertical angles. Yes, there's the hatch into games, but if you can find a way into bar, maybe that could be your way into a round win here. Fisher already have a kill, so the man advantage becoming less and less of a problem. They're just trying to spread out and take a one where they can. OC, though, not giving it to them. So Fisher, unfortunately, kind of playing into exactly the play style that OC are comfortable with here, which is, we have a man advantage, let's just sit back and wait for them to force fights against us. However, Fisher are so good that that's 2 fights in a row now, make it 3 that they've been forcing, but still go pretty well for them. Dusty's even knocked down, a triple kill for TechWill. Maple's able to pitch in. It's just left to Drolis inside the middle of his site. How on earth has this gone so wrong so quickly? The Frost is just stuck in bar stock, getting fired out, and absolutely no chance at surviving that encounter. Match point for Fisher Falcons, and what a collapse from OC.
That's brutal. It seemed like it was, like I said, early on in that round, very similar to the one we saw prior. I think OC Esports just tried to take these gunfights, or Fisher Falcons were a bit more aggressive. Exactly wasn't able to catch that, but either way, we saw a lot of one-on-ones that Fisher Falcons were able to win, like they have very early on in this map. Throughout the entire thing, they end up 6-2, and the pressure on OC Esports just continues to rise. You have to win 4 rounds in a row to guarantee overtime, then win 2 more, and you've won the map, and so much of that without a mistake is very difficult for a team to do. Because OC Esports have not played flawless. They've played well in areas, but overall, Fisher Falcons have just been the better gunners. And unless Fisher Falcons are going to make some mistakes, OC Esports really need to tune things up right here, right now.
I mean, they made the mistakes in that last round, and still, OC just didn't actively do enough. It's kind of the opposite of what we were seeing Fisher Falcons do. Fisher would stay in their spots, but they would continue to swing them actively. They were swinging places like Fluke Balcony. They were swinging Main Breach if they were playing near that half wall inside of Office. At least on the opposite side, you know, for kind of a kitchen library, or a kitchen defense with that extension upstairs. We saw Bomb playing there on the castle and doing just that. Playing his position very actively so that he could try and catch Fisher, or catch OC on their entries in and take an advantageous gunfight. OC haven't really been doing that, so into this round, they're going to need to start adjusting some of those aspects of their game. They're really going to need to start playing actively and making themselves a threat so that Fisher Falcons don't feel like they can just walk forward, take the space, and win the fights, because that's been what Fisher Falcons have felt like they've been able to do. They feel like they have all the ability in the world. Just walk up and take your fights against you.
Haven't seen too much of that this round. Been a couple of isolated players on their own. Fish are taking things a little bit slower. Player outside of the bathroom window. Some players walking up from the basement. And interesting that Fisher are being this slow. And it seems like they know that the site is on kitchen, and they just walk in and find guns, and suddenly the map might be over.
2-player advantage for Fisher. Last couple of rounds, they haven't even had that luxury. This time around, seemingly only getting better, but Dusty at least able to get something. Total site control for Fisher, at least to the point where they feel comfortable planting. And that's exactly what happens. Maple has a cutoff upstairs, and down goes Kita. Another shot for Maple. Double kill for the Dokkaebi rather, and now it's only left to the Warden of OC Esports. Not a chance in the world. TechWill will close. Dusty will fall. OC will only get 2 rounds on their own map selection, and Fisher Falcons start off with a great map.
We were just warming up in that round. Took a while to read into that, completely shut that down, and when you know something works, why change it? Fisher's anchor-heavy style play has been absolutely throwing OC Esports for a loop, and I think there's no reason to change it given everything that we've seen.
Still yet to see at least half the series, at least on paper when you look at it in terms of the number of maps. Technically, I guess, you know what, I won't get into counting rounds. That's just not going to add anything to the broadcast. We're on Bank now. We're not on Cafe. And it's Thatcher, the first ban off the board for OC Esports, as they chose to start on the defensive side. Again, makes sense. For this map, I would say even more so than Chalet, or for Border, I would say it's the more defender-sided of the 3, as the other 2 at times have swayed in favor of the attack. They can do that. They have shown that they're able to in the past. But this one has pretty much for most of its lifespan been a big map for defense with how big it is, how hard it is to clear. That will really work against OC on their attacks because we saw them take a long time, a number of times, to clear some of Fisher's extensions. So, if OC aren't doing everything as quickly as possible, they may struggle to do everything on time when they're attacking. So, start on your defense, maybe get like a good 3 or 4 rounds, feel confident in yourselves, and then that confidence can hopefully translate to your attacks, where you're going to need it to take fights against a team like Fisher that'll likely be holed up in all their little positions.
It's going to require a strong defense. A lot of round wins will be required. I think a 5-1 is probably where you want to be. It might sound lofty, but I feel with what we've seen from OC Esports Attack, how good this map can be for the defense, that in combination, you want to put yourself in the lead as much as possible. I think a 6-0 is kind of out of the question because surely there's one round where Fisher are going to be able to put everything together. That is, if OC Esports are going to be able to maintain their strong defense and individuality like they did on Shelly for the couple of rounds that we were able to see. So putting out some of these roamers is a good idea, in my opinion, because I think if you have one of these players really pop off like they did in Chalet, more power to you, honestly.
Attacker's objective is to defuse a bomb.
So for now, OC do want to extend, maybe a little bit of an older extension. It's kind of a server-focused extension with some Blue Stairs emphasis, likely going to be Drolis playing on Smoke. I don't know what it is about the Ubisoft font. It's font in this game, and A's and O's kind of get mixed up for me.
I think that's a skill
Is that?
issue.
Okay, yeah, it's not, never mind.
You
I
haven't,
was
you
I,
haven't
here
spent
I
enough
was
time in
thinking
the
you were
trenches.
here I was thinking you were going to be like, yeah, you know, that is a relatable experience. No, I just got roasted.
No.
Yeah.
Mid.
40 seconds in round number 1. Fisher, of course, making pretty quick progress, already putting some pressure on the open roam.
Woo!
Oh no! Codes just thought he was able to do that, and he is in fact not able to do that at all. Jumps over one of the cubicles right in the vision of Maple, and the line of sight has never been clearer on an opening kill. Buck able to take the Mozzie off the board very first off, and now the entire roam has been dealt with in just a minute. There is still a Blue Stairs extension to deal with, however, that's not going to be as difficult as dealing with that full double-player open area extension. And now the hatches are opened up for you, and you also just got another kill. Great start to this round for Fisher.
It's kind of confusing as to what OC Esports' plan was from the beginning. It's now going to devolve into a lot of trades that Fisher Falcons usually are ahead of. Drolis and Kita are actually back in server. They have relinquished the bomb site to Fisher Falcons, and all they have to play here is defense, even though they are not the defense in this situation.
Great spot by Fisher. You could see they had a drone inside of server, so they knew that it was a couple players, at least one, that were going to try and hold it heavily, so why not just drop the hatches, take control of lockers, and take control of the round. Drolis has found 1 kill in the post plant, but forgive me for not being incredibly up to date on it, as I would imagine this is going to be a rather uneventful post plant, as it has been 20 seconds of the bomb being down, and he hasn't even exited server, because the instant he does, it will be a firing squad of attacker assault rifles and SMGs and the like, just singing right at him. He isn't even going to try anymore. He'll let you have the round. He just wants his kills, but he won't even get that. Beezer runs up on him with the bearing 9, takes him down, and a first round for Fisher, much like last map.
There's a lot for me that just leaves me scratching my head, wondering what OC Esports' plan was. Because we've got the initial fight, where Maple is finding codes, and a lot of times you might see an Azami and a player hanging out by the office to try to provide opening assistance for the defense. Basically, keep the attack as far away from the hatches, from blue server, wherever, as long as you can. But there weren't any keeper barriers down. You saw codes just vaulting over things like they were still trying to finish their setup. So there's interesting roam combined with the fact that the defense is playing in server. I know you have to back up because the attack has taken so much space quickly, but part of why the defense is so good in server is because you can waste so much of the attacker's times. You have the Goya, you have the smoke, and you don't lean into any of that. And with OC Esports, it's just trying to win your gunfight in disadvantageous positions, and clearly Fisher Falcons were able to dominate that round from beginning to end.
Still a smoke in this round, as well as an echo. Really like the placement of that yokai drone. It has fallen off as soon as I mentioned that, but I don't know how it got up there to start with. 'Cause, you know, like, you can only jump in a straight up line, so either he Kobe'd that over there from up by front desk, or it just, there's some weird tech to get to. Producer has just told me that he throws it from spiral, and that
Throwing
it
yokais
bounces off
over
the
mountains.
corners. Yeah, exactly. Back in my day. Could throw a yokai over them mountains. 45 seconds into this round, Scoob is set up to just try and get kills on the front desk player. Very typical push for the attacking side to try and go for these days, but not a very typical fight for Sadex to win, as he's somehow able to take that kill. Fisher are trying to just run right at the hold with Candelas and all, but it hasn't worked. 3 kills for OC, only 1 for Fisher, and TechWill and Bomb could not be further away from each other. Both low on util to really make this push work from this point forward, and 2 players down. TechWill's just going to try and send himself into the bomb site, but he has been spotted. Unfortunately for the defense, not spotted enough to deal with him fast, but eventually Dusty will deal with both remaining attackers and win the round for OC.
And that's making sure that Fisher Falcons don't get as confident as they really want to be. And that clear is essentially just trying to go for the rush. And Fisher have done that, I think, a total of 3 times now, with only 1 of them really being successful. And it's OC Esports not being a pushover in this specific instance. It shows you why these players can be good at the end of the day. Dusty, great job there. Same with Sadex. I think it's gonna be about making sure that Fisher Falcons aren't comfortable, that they aren't as easygoing as they really want to be, and so far I just haven't seen any of that. They play with pace, they play with intention, and nothing from the roamers or the anchors have changed that, in my opinion. And as we go back down to the basement, you're gonna play Office, do it now. Don't, like, I see you walking up there, codes, like, reinforce the hatch, do whatever you want. Please do not get caught in Office again.
Attacker's objective is to defuse a bomb.
Well, obviously that's the goal. I think they've started to... Well, they had that wall reinforced last time, but still. Some trauma, at least. Remembering what happened
got the
last time.
drone in Office.
Nice. Should be pretty solid. Codes, again, in basically the same exact spot, but this time, very aware that he needs to stay crouched. Another drone goes in from Maple after the first one gets shot, just to make sure that everyone in the surrounding area has vacated the staff room, and in fact, they all have. You open the hatch only to then drop it within 30 seconds after the only thing they've done is the exact thing they did last round.
It's
scratching my head.
Sometimes you don't need to give a lot. I think ideally I'd want to, like, maybe at least fire a couple shots, waste as many precious seconds as you can, but dropping back isn't going to be the worst thing in the world, because you're still a bot. You're still alive. You can still provide assistance on the site. And if OC Esports are going to rely on the smoke and the Goyer like you really should on this site, more bodies, the more the merrier, honestly. But I don't like Fisher Falcons having a minute 30 to use this buck, and that is the consequence of really relinquishing Office so early.
Yeah, and because no Kaid is up, as OC did ban it, there is no chance to really keep these hatches closed for too long. You could bring a tube just to delay it a little bit, but also you opened one of them up yourself, so it wouldn't really matter that much or make that big of a difference. However, big difference in this round is that Fisher haven't really put a lot of pressure towards Elevator or towards Gold Vault. Neither of those hatches being open quite yet, and there still is a lot to deal with inside of Server and on the staircase. But dying to the Goyo canister that was on the top of the stairs that he was supposed to play off of is Drolis, and now Beezer has the Candelas that you could very easily use to pressure this one player out of Server. They haven't pushed Kita yet, though, and they're wasting precious seconds, not actually doing anything about this player inside Server. Maybe we'll get that kill, lose a little bit of HP, and that's just fine. But now you need to start to plant the diffuser. But where is the diffuser for the time being?
I think it is going to be in the pockets of Techwell. Grabbing it, you've opened this server room single wall, so the plant option is there. Both Goyo and Smoke are gone, so Denial is simply going to be C4s, and I don't know how many actual Goyo canisters there are. It's simply going to come down to denial of this plant for OC Esports. Completely possible.
Oh, what a shot from so far out by Codes. He's been denied, though. They need to start getting this plant back down. They will. Dusty got a kill on one player to drop the hatch. He gets another. He can see the plant going down. No, he can't. That was a teammate. Death Icon. Tech will now down to 1 HP as somehow a couple Deagle shots have been landed in all the chaos, and he has the advantage. Dusty knows that he can't play off the hatch, knows that he needs to still be in Server, will Kiba off that angle so he could try and hit the case, but that's not really going to play into the advantage that he has. He may not realize it, but he's got such a big HP gap in his favor. Tech will chucks a drone so his teammates can tell him where he's pushing, but he doesn't know that he's swinging that angle, and a triple for Dusty in the post plant. An outstanding clutch for the Azami, and OC Esports will take their first lead of the game.
It is really such a game of cat and mouse when you're in that situation. Great play to isolate that part of the breach so you make it a singular angle that you really have to watch. You don't have to worry if the Finka is playing far back. She has to play this close angle, of which you have a little bit more time to react simply because of your peripherals. And then it's just the ebb and flow. When you want to be aggressive, when you want to be defensive, try to bait with the plan, when you want to get off of it. I love to see that. And for OC Esports to grab the win, it makes it a lot easier in the end. Because I said a 5-1 is really where you want to be. It is still obtainable. You have 3 rounds to go. You win staff, go back up to CEO, back to basement, and you just go there for 3 more rounds. That's all you need. And a lot of it is just going to be about wasting time. I think that's the one thing that OC Esports might have to rely on a little bit more, because it seemed like despite everything, Fisher Falcons had more time than you really would like as an attacker on that side because of the Goyo, because of the smoke. It is literally milliseconds a lot of times where the diffuser can go down. You're able to get that down, goes down to the 1v1, of which OC Esports come out on top. Rome, still important as ever.
First time seeing open area this game as we are into round number 4. Winning a couple defenses in a row is always fun, but unfortunately it does mean you have to go down to those sites that you maybe prioritize a little lower. However, this site also very good in its own right. But the way OC Esports playing it for the time being, you talked a lot about the roam in that last round. There isn't really a ton. There is a little bit of extension over to Tellers and Archives in that general area. However, not a lot upstairs, and so with that, within 45 seconds of the round starting, Fisher are already able to get Maple into stock room, start breaking some of the roof from out above those defenders in the middle of the site, and Scoob has taken down Sadex. So a very good start, as that's the Archives presence gone at the drop of a hat, and at the drop of another body, it's Fisher again, taking a huge advantage early in this round.
They're so alone. Happy. Rollers, Edagon, Codes, it's up to them to win their 1v1. Going back to Chalet, you almost never saw that from Fisher. There's a lot of examples of which you can use, and now the flashes are going to come in. Fisher's got so much utility, and they can just get the plant down. It's the easiest thing in the world.
Attackers activating diffuser.
It might actually be flawless. Only one player on the attacking side has lost any health at all. Drolis is about to walk back in and realize they fully reinforced the bomb site, put castle barricades on it as well. All the works on that one. They threw the kitchen sink at everything just outside the site, only for Fisher to drop in from above because they weren't holding it. And so now Drolis, 1-on-4, was able to get one, so it's not quite flawless, but a deagle kill for Scoob will be more than enough to close. Even if he didn't get it there, it would have been someone on Fisher to make it a 2-2 scoreline.
So you've got the CEO that you can head back to. Goes, oh, open area is a big danger. They're gonna go back. So, what's the change coming on through there? Is a pause gonna?
Attackers need to locate and defuse
Okay.
bombs.
So,
That's tough.
yeah. It's still there. There's weird.
Oh,
things
okay.
happening.
So I think it was a. All right. So I think it was
Attackers have
a playlist error. There are like 15
It's
million
weird,
different
yeah.
things you have to make particular when you're setting up a competitive lobby, and I think one of them was slightly off, which unfortunately means we will need to rehost the lobby. However, it does mean that we don't have any tech issues or we don't have any server issues or anything like that. So we could imagine that it'll be a relatively quick fix. Get in there, fix that 1 or 2 settings that may be wrong, get everybody back in the lobby. It'll be like nothing ever happened. We just need to yap a little bit longer, but you know us, V. We can do that all day. We got no problem with that.
Yeah, I know. I've been. I wanted to bring this up in like a weird way, but R6 Small. I don't know if you've heard that. I was talking about it earlier, which is like the next game in the Rainbow Six franchise. It's a mobile game roguelite.
She has been talking about this all through both breaks we've
I
had.
didn't know. No, I just said I was gonna play it because we had the break.
Oh.
We're gonna head to a
Oh, we
break,
are.
and when we return, we are going to have hopefully the end of the second map and whatever comes after that. We'll see you then.
I am here in the middle of nowhere. There is no there, it is cold there, but I am safe and I am warm. Although it's hard, I know I gotta keep up. No time to late to drift away. I find my space, I spend my time down the rabbit hole again. And as I fall, I can feel the pain. You can't tell me where to go, so I don't know, I just go with the flow. I go with the flow. I'm falling up, I'm falling down, from the sky and from the ground. Up above just like below, and I don't know where I should go. 'Cause I'm stuck in limbo. I'm out of love, but I guess I deserved it. Trying to hide, to pass you by. I'm getting down, feeling fine. I'm light as air, no one can reach me. Lost in a dream, lost in between. Let's keep on flying, let's keep on breathing. I'm falling up, I'm
Welcome back to map number 2 between Fisher and OC. Longer break than I was anticipating, than we were all anticipating, but we're back 2-2. Fisher were able to even things back out. OC, though, look a lot scarier this map than they did on Chalet. We may have the score line wrong.
It's
though.
not.
I don't think it was. No, yes.
They are
I think
being
Scoob is just
silly.
Scoob is just trolling. That's a
They
big
are silly goobers,
yeah.
and
big,
ignore them.
Attackers
It's a big
need to
troller.
locate and defuse bombs.
Yeah, it was 2-2. We recently had the open area. It's a flawless round coming out from Fisher Falcons. OC Esports initially, they did go back down to open area.
Located a bomb.
Now they've gone up to the CEO, which objectively is just so much of a better play. As, you know,
I think Scoob actually thought it was 3-2. I think he might actually
No.
just be silly.
that'd be pretty funny.
That would be. Yeah, my fault. I was see. My fault. I was tripping. Okay. Anyways,
Bro hallucinated the fifth
Exactly.
round.
To go.
yeah, I saw him say, "No, what do you mean I was lying? We just won an open attack." And I was like, "Wait a
Attackers are
minute."
heading out to defuse a bomb.
He actually thinks.
That's like it.
Thank you, Dan.
Look, Scoob is a silly goober. Scoober the goober.
Anyways, round number 5, we're going back upstairs. This is a site that OC haven't lost yet. They lost once on open. They are 1-1 downstairs. This is the second time they are playing a bomb site for the second time. The second time they're going upstairs. Anyways, another more lobby-focused attack from Fisher. They're going to bring the Monty along this time. Last time we saw them try and, go for that very quick rush play. Didn't seem to pan out, so this time they're just trying to play their angles patiently and wait to get opportunities, and Tech will in fact be given a chance. Dusty down very quickly. A very good player through this map.
Not forcing it is gonna be really what you want. The Monty enables that. Also with the fact that you're able to get a very early kill with Dusty.
Oh my.
Sadex just dropping Maple makes that a lot harder, but it seems that opportunities for kills are a lot more present than they previously were. The angles that Fisher are taking are a lot more beneficial, and you can see with Scoober just absolutely sticking up, the opportunity passes by him. Seems like he might have another one if he can find the kill, which he does, and that's why they pay him the big bucks.
Drolis just swung it wide with a shotty, unfortunately punished for doing so. Codes is able to get one, but they're into the site right behind him, and he had no clue that this was the case. Kita has no idea also that there's somebody right on the other side of that sideways closet, and that if he shot through that bookshelf, better word for it, he would be able to get that kill. Unfortunately, walks through the beepers. Now they know exactly where the Wamai lie, and unfortunately, he only shot at a Montaigne that was full extended in his shield. Bomb able to get that kill. Techwill credited with the other, and Fisher credited with a third round.
Getting 3-4-2 is brutal as a team that maybe doesn't do their best on attack in a map that should be a little bit more defender favored, considering something like Chalet. That's going to be more even. I don't think you can say the same about Bank. In this meta, with how the map is laid out, the defense should have a little bit more of an option, but it seems like right now, that's just not how it works. Back down to the basement, back down to the good old Smoke and Goyo combo. This is where Fisher had that really big rush early on, and it all came down to Mr. Dusty. I thought it was Drollless for a second. No, that was the player that killed themselves with the Goyo fighter. That also should not happen and cannot happen, because that's a pivotal part of holding blue stairs, and you lose the 3 smoke canisters, which kind of are the cherry on top with the Goyo.
What I'm interested in seeing again is Codes specifically on the Mozzie once more. How is he going to play this? Because they continue to open the hatch, and I'd imagine they have again this round. Yes, they have. They've opened the hatch in open area. He is going to reinforce the one in small office, but this still is very emblematic of a roam from him. However, Fisher actually have decided to change up their attacking strategy this time. Even though I don't think their strategy was bad last time around, they feel as though there are better ways they could go about dealing with this server hold, such as sending Bomb right in through Dirt Tunnel, very close to the start of the round. Matter of fact, not just Bomb, it's the whole team. You've got a Montaigne walking in first. You've got 2 or 3 players behind him. This may be another attempt at overwhelming a very pivotal area of this hold very quickly, as Beezer gonna walk in. Not even tanking any of the smoke canister, mind you. He just walks straight through it and 0 damage dealt to him. And now that's an important crossfire to establish, because he at any time can lower his shield, and with the threat of the players walking in from dirt, this could be a big problem for the OC defense. So they're trying to deal with him real quickly. They burn every gas canister in doing so, and they can't deal with him. They just cannot kill this guy.
Help!
He's gonna get caught in the smoke though, but they can't give him any help because the canisters are there, and now Fisher just have to force their way into gunfights. Case is down in server, so they can't ignore it anymore, and they can't at all do anything about Dusty. Kita swings at the perfect time. He'll take another, and it's just left to Scoob. Top server stairs, and I don't think he stands a chance at winning this round.
You've got 4 players in dirt. You have enough bodies to try to help out your Monty, because he is given the call that there's 2 players directly in front of him, which takes off players from specific angles. And at that point, the smoke canister may be in front of you. Just run through it. You're gonna take a little bit of damage, but you can't lose Beezer that easily. It's like they just watched their friend get beat right in front of them and just watched by. Absolutely helpless when that is not the case in this situation. It's a little bit of a wash for Fisher Falcon. Scoop is still alive and still can potentially clutch this, but taking a little bit more damage. Diffuser in their pocket. This is going to be a difficult one to clutch, and I think Fisher are more worried about what they're going to do for the next round rather than hoping and praying that Scoob can just pull this one out like a rabbit from a hat.
A lot of damage dealt to him. Still case in hand, but now closely competing with Dusty for the lowest HP of any player still remaining. That's his last smoke canister too, so he is smoke grenade rather, so he is not going to have a chance at doing anything. First contact will be the zombie, but Sadex at that exact same time will swing, and Scoob will go down as Fisher. Very rough in terms of the coordination, as their teammate just walks in a server, no support like you said, and well, the gas canisters are enough to dissuade any teammates from walking up.
It is 3-3. I think for an attacking team in this meta, it's pretty good. You get to start on the defensive side, bring the Goyo, bring the smoke, if that is your preference. don't see why you wouldn't, given how strong it is on this site in general. They're not.
Defenders
It's
protect the bomb
indicating that
defused by
this
attackers.
team is gonna be more roam heavy, which I think does lay a little bit into their play style of just being, wacky, silly gunners. But when you force OC Esports to come at you as a team rather than individuals, that's where they really struggle. So the roamers are going to have to play around each other. And if they don't, I think OC Esports are potentially going to be enabled by that. There is an if, though. As previously, Fisher have done a good job at that. And with the Solus, with a cab in play, there's always the chance that you get the interrogation along with the assistance of a good old friend of yours.
Attackers must locate.
Yeah, so Solus, Caveira, I think you had the perfect read. They're going to go for a lot of plays off the objective. Even still, outside of that, once you get back to the site itself, you're not really dealing with major anchors. Nobody who really delays a lot of time. I guess Legion kind of does, but that's not what you have in mind when you choose him, so to say. As OC Esports aren't necessarily as fast as Fisher in terms of the early stages of their roam clear. So it seems that that's still the case. It still carries over between these two maps. We noted last map that OC did take a little bit too long in some of their early rounds and then didn't have the time left in the late round or had to rush their mid round. And neither one of those things are desirable. And so with that, it makes sense to see them take a lot more time coming into this round, and they're fully droning everything out because they know that they're playing against the cheeky team. Very fortunate that they chose to do just that because they caught Scoob in a very bad spot that could have been very bad for the attack. Instead, he'll just drop out because he knows he stands no chance of doing anything from that
Attackers have
position.
recovered their diffuser.
Not a full retreat, though. That's something you gotta keep in mind. Because when OC Esports, they pulled back all the way into sight. Fisher still have Scoob over in blue. Techwheel and Bomb are still on that first floor. So OC Esports aren't going to have the freedom to open the hatch. Freedom to just try everything as they please. But as the Candela goes through, Bomb does relinquish, goes down to that basement, and here's that freedom that you really want, that you fight for as a team. But losing Sadex, you didn't clear Techwell out. Everything was working. You just forgot one vital piece. Make it two. Because there is still a Caveira on this floor.
Inside electrical as well. Big oversight from the attack. They're not even bother opening the exterior door into electrical. I would imagine they are going to be paying the price for it later. Oh no, that's not an interrogation. He knows it though. He's just gonna walk
Bopped
up
him
and
in the
melee.
head.
At the same exact time, Maple's gonna get the kill on a Dusty. And so with that, a very well orchestrated pinch from OC. Things are looking very rough at the time, or at the moment for Fisher. Good timing on that swing from Scoob, but it really isn't much of a chance at doing anything. Case could be recovered, but Codes doesn't even seem to want to. He just wants to try and run around and see what kind of kills he can get. Getting pings and info as to where one player is, that's Bomb, but Bomb just running away. Knowing he has only 15 seconds to work with, and there's a low chance that Codes is going to win the round out of this kind of position. Does pick up that case. Gonna need to run it into the middle of this site, the heart of this objective, and try and stick Bomb Plant down, but it's Bomb to kill him on the defensive side. Good win for Fisher and a good lead as they start the defense.
That's where the players individually start to shine. I still think that OC Esports did a good job overall, just missing that small part of Techwell. Because if you catch out Techwell on the drone, there's almost nowhere for him to go. I don't believe that vault hatch was open, and he can't go to the white stairs because there's players holding an office. The attack was mere moments away from really clicking together and avenging Sadex. Or I guess in this case, you find Techwell, Sadex doesn't die. The OC Esports, the problems with the attack are still there, whether it's going to be on Chalet, whether it's going to be on Bank. Adding a Monty into that, I'm not sure if I'm positive or negative on it, Happy. Because I think it forces you to play a lot more unified and to actually initiate if they want to initiate. Because OC Esports, They've had a problem of hemming and hawing when they want to go in. And as a Monty, you need to commit.
Yeah, and I think the other problem is that they take a long time to not clear that much of the map, and clearly they didn't fully clear the map, as they were still struggling to deal with areas like Lone and Lobby, or an area of the map like Electrical, both areas from which we saw people emerge late in the round for Fisher and get kills. So I don't know if the Monty's going to make that much better, as it'll only really exacerbate that problem of you're taking a long time should you need to clear a lot. However, it's very fortunate that you're playing now on a bomb site that doesn't necessarily involve a lot of clearing of anywhere on the map that isn't the second floor. There is one player downstairs, spotted by that drone from Dusty, but well, seemingly falling off already and won't be that active of an issue, especially since you have that Nomad. You can air jab off the right doors and, well, you won't have to worry about that player downstairs too much at all. And so this Monty can operate as it pleases inside of lobby.
Ooh, big fight happening. Tekla versus Dusty. Both of them just firing away, but the pistol is superior in that instance. Frees up that first floor a little bit more. You can see that the Nomad is being brought to stop any flanks that are going to eke their way on over towards Red Stairs. Scoop with the jump out, and no one is there to punish him for it. He might be able to go through dirt, but that's still a roamer that's able to get away for free and is going to require a little bit more patience from the attack to actually go and find him. And more things just start to go a little bit sideways for this OC Esports team, but at least they did find Tekla so that the refrag on the codes doesn't sting as much. Okay, well, that.
Very hard to, yeah, there we go. There goes that advantage that you were so happy that they had. And without that advantage, especially with Drolis being one of your 3 players alive, that means that it's not really a gun that you have, just kind of a presence walking forward, less bodies behind him, and nobody behind him because he himself goes down, exposes his right side to bomb just a bit too much, and a great punish from the Bandit. Another kill for Fisher. That's Beezer, and now just left to Sadex. Could be a second round in a row for Fisher, and it's been very back and forth. Normally teams managing to match each other round after round, and so even though Sadex is going to get that kill, it is matched, and for the first time, a team has taken a round lead of more than 2, and it's Fisher in their second defense.
This is just what you have when a team who's already capable, they go onto a side that is simply enabled by the meta. Defense is objectively so much better than the attack in this meta. With all that you have on your side and how Bank works and the problems that OC Esports have, it starts to stack up, and it gets really tall and really hard to overcome. Now going on to open area, OC Esports is still going to have to go for a second floor hold, which is going to require players on windows. You don't have to go through lobby or red stairs, so there is a silver lining upon this, because that's where the problem for OC started to emerge. And you probably are only going to have to deal with maybe 2 or 3 players, opposed to something like 4 that Fisher ideally would throw on the top floor. They still have the possibility to do that, honestly. And I will not be surprised if they put Maple or Beezer up on that top floor, simply because that's just their style. They really do like to stack upon each other, and in this match, there's nothing to dissuade that.
Attackers are heading out to defuse the bomb.
We're going to need something big here from OC Esports, a big change of pace. I like the Ying pick. That already indicates to me that they're going to try and bring something that can initiate them. Not having Bandit this map as well also shows that they were thinking about it from the start. It was something I mentioned after their pretty rough attacking half on Chalet last map. It felt like they were just lacking something to help them get in, get a foothold in the map, push Fisher away, and Ying can be very strong for pushing the other team out of the positions that they hold. She's kind of worked her way into the professional competitive meta quite a lot, as there are so many strong defenders that can hold areas so oppressively. The Candelas are one of the few effective tools you as an attacker have to really actively push them out. So I like that choice. I hope it's not a rush just in from the windows, though, because it looks like they're kind of setting up more people than usual over there, and I don't think that would really work so well.
Scoon got spotted on the drone. Doesn't seem to budge. It's got bomb in janitor and tech wheel in long desk area, but not looking to his left. He gets caught out. Is the refrag going to be there? Yes, it is, as Tech Will shoots through the wall and not budging an inch. This team is infamous for standing their ground until they are forcefully moved, but it seems that OC Esports, they might have gotten a little bit stronger and got a bigger tool, but there's Bomb making it 3-3, and they're sacrificing so much for this top floor.
Drolis was ready for that exact play too. It was just so unlucky that Kita chose to sprint in front of his teammate at the worst possible time. And you can't really afford to calm something as minuscule as that because you don't want to clutter the comms too much. But then also, the downside of that is that Kita will walk right in front of your sight lines and take away what could have been a man advantage for your own team even more in your favor to make it even across both teams. Now even worse for OC as a C4 will end Drolis' round. Now just Cades and Dusty left with any opportunity to make anything happen on the attacking side, and only 45 seconds to make it happen. They don't even have diffuser possession either. It seems like this may be a hard round to win, and they barely have any time to figure it out.
Slide's just going to be wailing on the floor. Always a benefit of having top floor control is what you're able to do, but you're not going to be able to get anything from it. Seeing exactly where the positions of Beezer and Maple are, and the time that's on the clock, you have to give up on this pursuit of vertical destruction. Just enter the site where there are 3 Evil Eyes waiting for you and players watching the cross. Dusty is dropped, so is Codes, and actually a friendly fire team kill from Codes. And Fisher Falcons, they go onto map and match point.
Yeah, OC just kind of didn't really have it towards the end. They had a good start. They knew what Fisher Falcons were trying to do, but even then, just that slight, minuscule error that could have made it a 4-on-2 in their own favor with a decent amount of time left to play completely flipped on its head as a whole. And then, like you said, there wasn't really much they could do. They were making some vertical holes, yes, but like you said, there wasn't really a chance to actually capitalize off of that. And so with that, Fisher Falcons have won 3 sites in a row. OC Esports still seriously struggling at dealing with Fisher. Even when they're prepared for what Fisher are going to do, there's a good chance that some kind of mishap will happen, and Fisher will still come out on the winning end of a gunfight anyways. Or some kind of missed shot, or Fisher are just that good in individual fights, and they'll win the fight anyways. So it feels like at a certain point, OC, what can you do, right? You know what's coming, you know how to anticipate it, what you could do to best suit yourself for getting some kills, and you still ended up at a man disadvantage in a weird spot, needing to execute onto a site where everyone knows where you're coming from.
5 seconds left.
The last chance for OC Esports.
Attackers are moving.
Find a win in this match. Get that pivotal 3-0. Gonna require 3 rounds in a row. And getting through what seems to be Scoob and Bomb inside of open area. And that is a difficult combo to go through. Beezer in Archives as well. So got the ability to detect these electronics, keep players away from your side. Beezer is not in Archives. Beezer is actually involved. But Tech Will is on the 2nd floor, which I feel like that's a little worse.
Well, still OC taking their time in getting into the building. Kita will be that initial entry, which is good because then you can play off the Candelas. However, that means if you go down too soon, you will have died without using a single one of them. And they've struggled so much at getting those initiating, just starting off fights, that you die early. Oh, great dodge of the C4. A little bit short from Techwill. That was leading perfectly into what I thought was about to happen. Unfortunately, Kita just barely misses the mark. Very unlucky timing. Still able to not lose any HP to Maple swinging, and Codes will trade. So again, OC are very good at communicating with one another and clearing these roamers. We saw that last map when there are isolated roamers. However, there haven't been a lot of those. And it's a really big map like Bang. And they have spent half of the round just clearing the 2nd floor on a basement attack. And there is still a lot more roaming to clear out, and it's not really isolated in open area.
And both Bomb and Scoob just playing directly across from each other. They have information. You can see that with the Z-ping. Scoob might actually take a very fresh angle. It seems that Dusty's going to be able to fire away, able to get one. And OC Esports need to find a victory here. But Bomb, along with TechWill, makes it a 3v3. We're all tied up as Fisher Falcons lose one. They've got to find a way back into this with a lot of time on the board for OC.
Great job, Rome clear.
Attackers recovered the diffuser.
Again from OC. Should still be all right. Not the worst situation in the world. V, I think. Is this just my side? Or there we go. Okay. My feed froze for a second. I don't know if that was just... It was just me. Okay. Anyways, Dusty's going to jump down the staircase. He's got another one. Triple kill on the round for him. And now, TechWill left alone against the Tides of Dusty and Kitagod. Case in control with a Candela still left to use. They'll chuck that in deep into the site, but they can't do anything yet because the canister is still going off. It's still red hot inside the bomb site, and they don't have high enough HP to run through it, so they just have to hope it expires soon. They're about to lose it on time. TechWill just stands there menacingly, and the round, the map, the series all go to Fisher.
That is why the basement site is so difficult to deal with. You pair Goya, you pair Smoke, and the right opportunity arises for the defense, and you have no opportunity to plan. Despite the clear advantage that OC Esports had, Fisher Falcons